From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
That was a year that tested the presidency, not just the person who held the office, but the entire institution of American leadership. It was a time when the world was watching and the American people were listening closer than ever. President Bill Clinton was midway through his second term. By then, he'd already left his mark on the economy, welfare reform, and education. But 1998 brought a unique mix of success and scandal, global unrest, and technological breakthrough. It wasn't just a year, it was a turning point. Let's set the stage. The economy, booming. The United States was experiencing one of the longest economic expansions in its history. Unemployment was below 5%. The federal budget was in surplus. People were buying homes, investing in stocks, and riding the first wave of the digital revolution. At the same time, America faced real challenges overseas. Terrorists bombed U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing over 200 people, marking a deadly warning about the global threat of extremism. In response, Clinton ordered military strikes in Sudan and Afghanistan, targeting Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network. Then came Operation Desert Fox, a 4-day bombing campaign against Iraq aimed at crippling Saddam Hussein's weapons programs. It sent a clear message. The United States would not turn a blind eye to dictators defying international norms. But the most enduring image of 1998 in the minds of many Americans wasn't on the battlefield. It was inside the walls of Congress. That was the year the House of Representatives voted to impeach President Clinton, charging him with perjury and obstruction of justice related to the Monica Lewinsky investigation. The country was divided. The headlines were relentless. The office of the presidency, for a moment, felt fragile, and yet Clinton kept governing. Despite the political firestorm, he focused on policy. He fought for patients' rights, pressed for school modernization, and expanded anti-smoking efforts targeting youth. He pushed forward on peace in Northern Ireland, worked toward stability in the Balkans, and emphasized investment in technology. There was no retreat from the responsibilities of the job. That's a key lesson from 1998. Whatever storm surrounds the White House, the business of serving the American people must go on. Clinton was resilient, tactical, and deeply focused on results, even while facing the full weight of public scandal. He governed through distraction, and in doing so, he tested the durability of the presidency as both an office and a symbol. Now, how does that all translate into policy? What tools did he use to push the country forward, even while fighting for his political survival? That's where the executive orders come in. In our next segment, we'll dive deep into the presidential directives of 1998, the ones that mattered, the ones that were missed, and the ones that shaped the future in ways we're still living with today. So stick with me, because when it comes to executive action in a year like 1998, the context tells one story, but the orders tell another. Executive Order 13,072 White House Millennium Council on February 2, 1998. Executive Order 13,073 year 2000 conversion on February 4, 1998. Executive Order 13,074 Amendment to Executive Order 12656 on February 9, 1998. Executive Order 13,075 Special Oversight Board for Department of Defense Investigations of Gulf War chemical, and biological incidents on February 19, 1998, Executive Order 13,076, ordering the selected reserve of the armed forces to active duty on February 24, 1998, Executive Order 13,077, further amendment to Executive Order 13,010, critical infrastructure protection on March 10, 1998, Executive Order 13,078, increasing employment of adults with disabilities on March 13, 1998. Executive Order 13,079, waiver under the Trade Act of 1974 with respect to Vietnam on April 7, 1998. Executive Order 13,080, American Heritage Rivers Initiative Advisory Committee on April 7, 1998. Executive Order 13,081, amendment to Executive Order number 13,038, Advisory Committee on Public Interest Obligations of Digital Television Broadcasters on April 30th, 1998. Executive Order 13,082, Joint Mexican-United States Defense Commission on May 8, 1998. Executive Order 13,083, Federalism on May 14, 1998. Executive Order 13,084, Consultation and Coordination with Indian Tribal Governments on May 14, 1998. Executive Order 13,085, Establishment of the Enrichment Oversight Committee on May 26, 1998. Executive Order 13,086, 1998, amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States on May 27, 1998. Executive Order 13,087, further amendment to Executive Order 11,478, equal employment opportunity in the federal government on May 28, 1998. Executive Order 13,088, blocking property of the governments of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and prohibiting new investment in the Republic of Serbia on June 9, 1998. Executive Order 13,089, coral reef protection on June 11, 1998. Executive Order 13,090, President's Commission on the Celebration of Women in American History on June 29, 1998. Executive Order 13,091, Administration of Arms, Export Controls, and Foreign Assistance on June 29, 1998. Executive Order 13,092, President's Information Technology Advisory Committee. Amendments to Executive Order 13,035 on July 24, 1998. Executive Order 13,093, American Heritage Rivers, amending Executive Orders 13,061 and 13,080 on July 27, 1998. Executive Order 13,094, proliferation of weapons of mass destruction on July 28, 1998. Executive Order 13,095, suspension of Executive Order 13,083 on August 5, 1998. Executive Order 13,096, American Indian and Alaska Native Education on August 6, 1998. Executive Order 13,097, Interparliamentary Union on August 7, 1998. Executive Order 13,098, blocking property of UNITA and prohibiting certain transactions. With respect to UNITA, on August 18, 1998, Executive Order 13,099, prohibiting transactions with terrorists who threatened to disrupt the Middle East peace process on August 20th, 1998, Executive Order 13,100, President's Council on Food Safety on August 25th, 1998, Executive Order 13,101, greening the government through waste prevention, recycling, and federal acquisition on September 14, 1998, Executive Order 13,102, further amendment to Executive Order 13,038, Advisory Committee on Public Interest Obligations of Digital Television Broadcasters on September 25, 1998, Executive Order 13,103, Computer Software Piracy on September 30, 1998, Executive Order 13,104, Amendment to Executive Order 13,021, Tribal Colleges and Universities on October 19, 1998, Executive Executive Order 13,105, open enrollment season for participants in the Foreign Service Retirement and Disability System and the CIA Retirement and Disability System on November 2nd, 1998. Executive Order 13,106, adjustments of certain rates of pay and delegation of a Federal Pay Administration authority on December 7th, 1998. Executive Order 13,107, implementation of human rights treaties on December 10, 1998. Executive Order 13,108, further amendment to Executive Order 13,037, commission to study capital budgeting on December 11, 1998. Executive Order 13,109, half-day closing of executive departments and agencies of the federal government on Thursday, December 24th, 1998, on December 17th, 1998.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
1998.
It was a year of high tension, high achievement, and historic consequence, both at home and abroad. President Bill Clinton was leading a nation that was roaring economically, but rattled politically. And at the center of it all was the presidency, tested, scrutinized, and still pushing policy forward. Now, if you look back at 1998, it wasn't just defined by the headlines or the scandal. That was the year America's economy was booming, unemployment below 5%, a budget surplus on the horizon, and tech innovation beginning to redefine how we lived, worked, and communicated. We were standing at the doorstep of a new century, but that prosperity didn't mean peace. It didn't mean ease. We were hit that year with a painful reality: the bombings of U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing over 200 people, including Americans. It was a tragic wake-up call, foreshadowing the terror threats that would soon become daily concerns. And in response, Clinton didn't just sit still. He ordered military strikes on al-Qaeda targets in Afghanistan and Sudan, targeting those who had planned the attacks. It was decisive, it was controversial, but it was action. Now back home, Congress moved to impeach the president. A deeply personal scandal had become a national trial. And yet, the wheels of government kept turning. And that's what I want to focus on tonight: how the Clinton administration continued to govern, how executive orders were used, not as distractions, but as tools to protect the environment, strengthen civil rights, modernize technology, defend global security, and prepare for the threats of tomorrow. Take, for instance, the push to green the federal government through policies that improved recycling, cut waste, and led by example. Or efforts to protect coral reefs, bolster Indian and Alaska Native education, or prevent software piracy in an increasingly digital world. These weren't side notes, they were strategic directives. President Clinton signed over 30 executive orders in 1998, and each one in its own way told us where his administration wanted to lead, even under pressure. These were choices rooted in long-term vision. From equal employment protections for the LGBTQ plus community, to preparing the government's infrastructure for the year 2000 conversion, to responding to the rising tide of international terrorism, 1998's executive orders tackled real problems. They didn't erase the noise, but they made a difference. Some of those orders helped safeguard rivers. Others empowered tribal communities. Some addressed military readiness and veterans' rights. Others quietly expanded the definition of American leadership in the digital, environmental, and diplomatic spheres. It was governing in the storm, and that, to me, is the mark of a resilient administration. So here's the big picture. 1998 wasn't easy, but it was active and it was consequential. And now, as we move forward, it's time to look closer. Which of those executive orders stood tallest? Which ones shaped policy in ways we're still living with today? Which ones missed the mark or became something greater with time? In our next segment, we'll break it down. The top 10 executive orders of 1998 fully evaluated. We'll explore how each one worked, what it changed, and why it still matters. So stick with me, because when you cut through the noise and follow the orders, you begin to see the direction of history. I'll see you in the next segment. 1998 wasn't just a year of headlines, it was a moment of reckoning for the presidency, for the world, for the American people. President Bill Clinton faced political turmoil like few presidents before him. The impeachment crisis dominated the news, yes, but behind the scenes, the gears of government kept grinding. And they didn't grind aimlessly, they moved with purpose. Because while the headlines were personal, the policies were national and often global. Let's talk about the executive orders. In 1998, President Clinton issued over 30 of them, and they weren't showpieces. They were tactical responses to real-time problems. Some addressed immediate needs in that very year. Others, they laid foundations we still rely on today. Take EO 13094, focused on the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. At the time, America was still navigating the post-Cold War era, but rogue actors and unstable regimes were making their moves. This order added teeth to our sanctions, expanded our watch lists, and gave our intelligence community a stronger policy backbone to contain nuclear threats. And today, we're still using that framework against countries like Iran and North Korea. Then there was EO 13101, aimed at greening the government, waste reduction, recycling, sustainable purchasing. It may not have made the front page, but it set the tone for what came later. Obama's clean energy directives, and even Biden's own climate-focused procurement rules. It started with bins and policies. Now we're talking zero-emission fleets and net zero buildings. Domestically, EO 13087 expanded equal employment protections for LGBTQ plus federal employees. In a time when anti-discrimination law was still catching up, this order moved the needle. Today, you see that thread carried through Supreme Court decisions and inclusive federal hiring practices. It started here, quietly, deliberately. Now, 1998 wasn't just about policy. The world was shifting. Terrorists bombed U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing over 200 people, including 12 Americans. That shook the country and the world. In response, EO 13099 was signed, blocking assets and targeting those responsible. That order was part of the first wave of action against al-Qaeda, years before 9/11 would shock us all. We also saw executive action on cybersecurity and software piracy, EO 13103. This was the federal government waking up to the new battlefield, information. That same year, Microsoft faced antitrust lawsuits, and the digital revolution was picking up steam. Clinton's orders didn't just react, they prepared. Back home, the U.S. faced its own cultural and legal reckonings. There was Operation Desert Fox in Iraq, the impeachment hearings, the Monica Lewinsky testimony, the dot-com boom accelerating, the stock market volatile. Yet somehow, despite it all, the country stayed focused, resilient, governed. That's the part most people miss when they look back at 98. It wasn't just scandal and spectacle, it was policy. It was environmental reform, civil rights protection, national security strategy, education investment, international diplomacy, quiet but powerful choices etched in executive authority. And here's the kicker. Many of those executive orders, still active, still shaping budgets, still guiding policy. That's the power of executive action. It's the part of history we don't always hear about, but it's the part that lasts. So now it's time to go deeper. Let's look at the ones that truly mattered, the executive orders that didn't just fill the Federal Register, but moved the country forward. Coming up next, the top 10 executive orders of 1998. We'll break them down, one by one, what they did, why they mattered, and how they still echo in the America we live in today. Stay with me, because when it comes to history, the devil's in the details and the direction is in the orders. Top 10 executive orders of 1998, signed by President Bill Clinton. Each entry includes the policy's impact in 1998, its long-term significance, and how it continues to shape modern America. Number 1, EO 13094. Proliferation of Weapons of Mass Destruction, signed July 28, 1998, impact 1998. This order expanded the national emergency declared in EO 12938, 1994, by tightening controls on foreign entities, contributing to the spread of nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. It directly addressed rising fears of rogue states, including Iraq, North Korea, and Iran, engaging in secret arms trade. Lasting effect, this EO became a core part of the legal framework used in future non-proliferation sanctions, especially post 9/11 and during the Iran nuclear deal negotiations. It's been renewed and referenced repeatedly, proving how 1998's foresight became today's foundation in global arms policy. Number 2, EO 13099, prohibiting transactions with terrorists who threaten to disrupt the Middle East peace process. Signed August 20th, 1998, impact 1998. Signed just days after the U.S. Embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, this EO froze assets and blocked financial transactions with terrorist organizations, namely Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. It marked a direct and early executive strike against transnational terrorism. Lasting effect, considered a precursor to the war on terror, this EO's structure informed the design of future counterterrorism sanctions, including EO 13224, 2001. It showed how executive power could be used rapidly to dismantle financial networks tied to extremist groups. Number 3, EO 13101, greening the government through waste prevention, recycling, and federal acquisition. Signed September 14th, 1998, impact 1998. This EO transformed how the federal government managed waste and procurement. It mandated that agencies use recycled goods, reduce paper consumption, and follow environmentally friendly purchasing practices. Lasting effect, it was a cornerstone of environmental sustainability in government operations, later expanded under Presidents Obama and Biden. Even today, initiatives like net zero buildings and sustainable procurement standards draw from the principles this order laid out. Number 4, EO 13087, Equal Employment Opportunity for Sexual Orientation in the Federal Government, signed May 28, 1998, impact 1998. 5. This EO amended EO 11478 to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation in federal civilian employment. It was a bold move in a time when LGBTQ+ protections were politically risky and legally inconsistent. Lasting effect, it laid the groundwork for federal inclusivity policies, Supreme Court recognition of workplace rights, e.g., Bostock v. Clayton County, 2020, and later executive actions that protect LGBTQ+ Americans in government and federal contracting. Number 5, EO 13088, sanctions on the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, Serbia, and Montenegro, signed June 9, 1998, impact 1998. This EO responded to ethnic cleansing and war crimes in Kosovo, freezing assets and prohibiting new investments in Serbia. It signaled U.S. condemnation of Slobodan Milosevic's regime. Lasting effect, this EO helped justify future NATO action in the Balkans and showed how executive orders could be used to isolate violators of international humanitarian law. It became a model for future targeted economic pressure tools. Number 6, EO 13107, Implementation of Human Rights Treaties, signed December 10, 1998, International Human Rights Day. Impact, 1998. This EO created a framework for how the U.S. government would implement and report on international human rights treaty obligations. It coordinated federal agencies to align domestic policies with UN conventions and treaties. Lasting effect, though sometimes underutilized, it remains a key document in guiding U.S. compliance with international human rights monitoring bodies. It continues to be cited in reports submitted to the UN Human Rights Council and in civil society advocacy, Number 7, EO 13103, computer software piracy, signed September 30th, 1998, impact 1998. Addressing the rise of software piracy and IP theft, this EO directed federal agencies to use only properly licensed software and created a policy of zero tolerance for piracy within government IT. Lasting effect, it marked one of the earliest presidential acknowledgments of cyber intellectual property security. Its spirit carried into later cybersecurity initiatives and global tech trade agreements, including enforcement chapters of USMCA and international IP treaties. Number 8, EO 13084, consultation and coordination with Indian tribal governments, signed May 14, 1998, impact 1998. This EO directed all federal agencies to engage in meaningful consultation with tribal governments before implementing policies affecting them. It reaffirmed tribal sovereignty and sought to undo centuries of neglect. Lasting effect, although later superseded by EO 13175-2000, this order reignited the federal tribal consultation framework and set the tone for tribal inclusion in climate policy, education, health services, and infrastructure funding decisions. Number 9, EO 13089, coral reef protection, signed June 11, 1998, impact 1998. Recognizing coral reefs as essential to the health of the planet, this EO created the U.S. Coral Reef Task Force and directed federal agencies to protect and preserve reef ecosystems. Lasting effect, this EO helped integrate coral reef resilience into federal conservation and climate strategies. It's cited in NOAA action plans and forms the basis for funding reef restoration in Hawaii, Florida, and U.S. Pacific territories. Number 10, EO 13073, Year 2000 Conversion, Y2K Preparedness, signed February 4th, 1998, impact 1998. As the millennium approached, fears of Y2K computer failures loomed large. This EO established a council to ensure government systems were Y2K compliant, protecting everything from military command networks to social security checks. Lasting effect, though the crisis fizzled, this EO remains a model of successful interagency coordination, disaster prevention, and public-private tech cooperation. It taught us how to proactively guard against digital disruption on a national scale.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.